Have you ever been called emotional in a way that wasn't a compliment? I have. Here's a weather analogy for you. Emotions are a little bit like the weather. They aren't right or wrong, good or bad. They're simply just a measurement of how you're feeling. And this morning, we are talking about why your emotions can actually be your superpower and what you can learn from them. Carolyn Stern is an expert in emotional intelligence. She joins us this morning. Carolyn, it's great to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you've written a book about EI. It's called The Emotionally Strong Leader, but the lessons in it, they apply not only to our personal life, but also our professional lives as well.
Yes.
I think a lot of us are really familiar with IQ, but you use the term EQ. What is this?
So emotional intelligence, or EQ in terms of emotional quotient, is the numerical value of how you measure your emotional intelligence. And what is emotional intelligence? It's the ability to use our emotions, use the information our emotions provide to act appropriately in the face of daily challenges.
I think a lot of people, when they feel those emotions, can feel overpowered by them, and they don't realize or feel like they can exist alongside those emotions because they can be so powerful.
Yes, absolutely. And in the book, I talk about you can be in the driver's seat of your emotions, right? Rather than them driving you. And it was funny, you said at the beginning, like, you've been emotional. I'm a very emotional person, but I'm also strong. I'm a strong person. And so that's why I named the book The Emotionally Strong Leader.
So, Carolyn, how do you actually figure out what your EI is?
Well, first you need to assess yourself, right? You've kind of got to connect at yourself, really take a good, honest look in the mirror, right? And figure out what you are, really, what are you high in, what are you low in? Maybe perhaps, maybe what you think is a strength, other people might see as a liability, or what you see as a liability, others might see as your genius.
Right. Okay. So connecting with the people around you, identifying what needs work. I mean, those are really clear tips there. When we're wanting to boost our own emotional intelligence, you have some steps for us. So let's take a look at them. You say step one is figuring out, like, what are you feeling in the first place?
Yeah. So, for instance, let's say your child spills his juice box on your computer just before a Zoom meeting. Or perhaps at work, your boss gives you an unrealistic expectation. What are you feeling? Feeling the sensation. Maybe you have a headache. Maybe your body's being clenched. You're probably feeling something. The second step is, what's the trigger? Well, in this case, my boss gave me an unrealistic expectation and, threw something on my desk that I wasn't planning. Or I told my child not to play with the drinks in my office. So that's the trigger. You've got to identify the trigger. And then you've got to express how you feel.
Oh,
right?
That's a tough one for, I think, a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's about, not only how you express to yourself even, like, how am I feeling? I'm overwhelmed. I'm actually angry. And maybe I'm a little frustrated. And you either say that to yourself or perhaps to someone else. And then finally, once you identify what the trigger is and you know what you're feeling, let's take a pause and reflect. What can I do about it? So what's a high EQ response? So let's take the workplace example. If my boss gives me an unrealistic expectation, the high EQ response could be, hey, that project that you gave me, I might not be able to get it to you by Friday, but I can get it to you by Monday. Are you okay? But that other project will have to wait a week. Are you all right with that? His response, he might not be thrilled that you're setting a boundary, but at least he'll respect you. Whereas a low EQ response, that's I could say, boss, screw you. I'm not doing that, and I could lose my job. And so once you know those two choices, high EQ, low EQ, then you can make a choice. And that's the key, is to take a space between the trigger and the emotion and the action. And that is the key to emotional intelligence, being the observer of yourself.
Carolyn, when you read your book, when you learn all about this, are you going to get it right the first time? Like, how long does this take to master this?
I don't think we ever arrive. I think we're a work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time. So I think the key is, the reason I wrote the book is to read it over and over again. And ultimately, assess yourself every year. Figure out what are the key things that you need to work on to be the best you.
I love that. A work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks so much for having me.
You can read more about emotional intelligence in Carolyn's new book. It's called The Emotionally Strong Leader. Now, hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.